Hello, I'm Taylor and I am a gardener from Wisconsin, and that is what most of my videos are about. But today I'm going to walk you through my basic sourdough loaf recipe. So I just started into sourdough, but I've had great luck with this recipe and I would really like to share it with all of you. So this is what we made. I sliced it all up, obviously. It has great bubbles on the outside, nice brown color, and the structure is also great on this. So I'll walk you through it step by step, and I'll also post directions down below. The first ingredient here is bread flour, and this is the only option that we have at my local grocery store, but bread flour is important because it has higher protein. So we are going to put 500 grams here, and I have this zeroed with the bowl on here, so I just have to weigh out 500 grams, which is quite a bit. So I just have to add 300, watch for 350 in here. Then we have 10 grams of salt. And you can up this or lower this based on your personal taste, right? 10. And then the last ingredient we have here is our sourdough starter. So this was fed, and I think it was about 12 hours ago for me. So I'm just looking for it to be bubbly and have grown a bit. I don't worry about it much other than that. We're going for 50 grams of the starter here. And then next we're gonna mix it up. And you don't need to over mix it, but you do want to incorporate all of the flour into the dough here. That's the ending point that you want to get to here. You can also do this with your hands. Okay, we've got a shaggy looking dough here. Just going to push the rest of that flour in. It's looking really good, right? And I try to wipe everything off with a paper towel because you don't want to put this down your drain. All right, now this is a glass bowl that came with a lid, and that's what I've been using instead of plastic wrap or anything else or a towel. So I'm just gonna put my lid on and set a timer for an hour. After an hour rest, I am back, and I like to wet my hands. It makes the dough stick a little bit less, although this process right here is the stickiest part of all. So I'm going to do 30 stretch and folds with a quarter turn after each fold. And if you watch closely, the dough really changes a lot during this process. We're adding a ton of structure, and it really is the most fun part. I'm going to speed up this video because this process takes a little while. I've finished the 30 stretch and folds. I'm going to let the dough rest for 30 minutes. The next process we're going to do are 6 series of stretch and folds. So you're going to do this 6 times at 15-minute intervals. So I'm going to take my, you're okay, buddy. Take my lid off. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can see how much the dough has changed already. So that's all that is. So I got 1 of 6 done. Now this one was a little bit longer than 15 minutes, which is okay. Just try to be somewhat in that range. So we got 1, 2, 3, and 4. And another 15. All right, we're on another stretch and fold. So you can tell now the dough is getting very different, which is what we want to see. So this is just adding more structure to our loaf. All right, another 15. All right, we're on our next stretch and fold. 2, 3, and 4. All right, next stretch and fold. And 4. There we go. Last one coming right up. This is the last stretch and fold, so number 6. And we're going to do 4 folds again. So after this, we are going to cover it and let it rest on the counter for around 12 hours. We're looking for it to double in size, and it will be ready then for the shape and cold ferment. It is morning now. It's been about 13 hours since my last stretch and fold. So I'm looking for a nice soft dough here, and it does have some bubbles in it, which is a good sign. So I think our bulk ferment was a success. You can also use one of these little medicine deals, put 10 in here, and then once it reaches 20, you'll know that it's doubled in size, and that's what we're looking for with this bulk ferment stage. I've never measured it or anything like that. It's just an option out there if you're trying to get your recipe dialed in. Our next step here is going to be shaping the dough. So some tools that I'm going to be using are this flour duster, dough scraper, banneton bowl, shower cap to cover that when it goes in the fridge, and some rice flour. So first I'm going to dust the surface with this, and I don't want to over dust it because having the dough a little bit sticky has been helpful in this shaping phase. So I'm just going to lightly dust the surface here. So I'm actually going to make 2 loaves from the dough that I've started. All right, I'm just going to take this and do a very gentle release here. I'm just gently scraping the sides of this to get it to release. So I don't want to knock all the air that we worked so hard to get here. And my edges always seem to stick a little bit because I have that dough on the sides of my bowl from when we mixed it. Okay. So from here, wow, look at that bubble. All right, I'm going to cut this in half-ish. It's not super important to get it exactly in half. Oops, actually I'm going to dust this first so it's not super sticky to itself. And again, this is a lighter dusting. Okay, so we're going to try to separate this a bit when we have it here so that they stay separate. Okay, so now I'm going to shape these into round little loaves here. So I'm trying to tuck it under. I'm definitely a beginner at this point of it, so bear with me. But hopefully it will help you kind of see what I've been trying to do here. So I'm just trying to create that tension on the dough. Again, that one looks pretty good. Okay. Ugh. Okay, just about there. All right, so then I'm gonna grab these and just plunk them over. Actually, no, I'm gonna grab saran wrap. So I'm gonna put this saran wrap over them, and they are going to rest for a half an hour. And they should have enough of that rice flour on them that they don't stick to the plastic. So we'll check back on them in a half an hour here. It's been about a half an hour here to let these rest. So I'm going to take the plastic wrap off them. I'm going to move this one over here. Should have done this first, please. All right, so then I'm just going to use some of this on my hands. All right, now we're going to stretch this out. So I'm going to try to not get it stuck on my hands here. And I'm going to stretch it as basically as thin as I can get it. And we're doing this step to add tension to the dough. All right. And this is where it's helpful to have a little bit of stick on the bottom of your dough. So it's helping you out by not pulling right in. Okay, so from here, we're gonna fold, and roll, and then we're gonna put it in our banneton bowl, which I should get dusted here. So I'm gonna heavily dust this with the rice flour. And I use the lining because I don't want the lines from the banneton bowl on my loaf. So you can do it either way. So hopefully you can see that. All right, so we got that ready. Okay, here we go. So we're gonna fold, and then roll it up here. And this creates a lot of tension for your dough. Okay, and then I am just gonna plunk this right in here. And then I'm putting my shower cap on and sticking this in the fridge for at least 5 hours. Okay, I'll do the other one here in case you want to see that again. So we're gonna stretch. Like, I don't know if you can see that, but there's so many bubbles in here. It's so cool to see that. Okay, we're gonna fold, and roll. Okay, so that one's ready to go in the banneton bowl too. One thing I forgot here is that I do a little dusting of the rice flour on top of here too, so that it doesn't stick to the shower cap in the fridge. All right, so these are going off to rest then. For baking, this is the cast iron that I have, Dutch oven. So it's one that I just had, but it's been working great. And I actually found out that this, you just put it upside down and use this as a lid. So I'm going to bake my bread in the bottom of this. I'm going to set my oven up here, and we're going to do 450. So what I'm going to do is, while the oven is preheating, I'm going to get this in here to preheat as well. And once the oven is preheated, I'm going to take this out and then put my loaf in. Some people say to preheat your Dutch oven for like an hour or something like that. I did that, well, maybe not an hour the first time I made mine. And my crust on the bottom turned out pretty dark. So I'm now doing this method where I just preheat the Dutch oven while the oven is preheating, and it has been working out great for me. So once we get it preheated, I'll show you my next step. My oven has finished preheating. I got my banneton out of the fridge. We're looking good here. Now I realized I put the seam on the bottom. Usually I put that on the top. So I'm going to roll this out of here. Let me go this way. And then I'm going to roll it over again so that this, oh, maybe not. I think we're okay. But now I'm on the edge, so I'm going to do it anyway. All right. So one thing I forgot to grab is my razor blade. There it is. Okay, so I'm just going to make a little score on this side. And this just helps relieve some of that tension that you've been building so that it can expand and be nice and airy on the inside. So I'm cutting into it a bit, and I'm trying to kind of go from one end to the other here. There we go. All right, so this is ready. I'm going to put this in here, and then very carefully, because this is really hot, I'm just going to fold these over. All right, grab my oven mitts. All right, and I turn this a little bit because it's a lot easier to grab off. And then I am going to take you over here. We're going to pop it in the oven. Okay, so we are going to set the timer for 30 minutes. Okay, here we go. So we're taking the lid off after that 30-minute bake. And we're going to see what we got here. Be very careful, it's very hot. Ooh, we're looking good. Looking beautiful. So then this goes back in at 400. And that is for 15 more minutes. All right, and then we'll be done. Our loaf is all ready. Just getting my oven mitts on. And oh yeah, look at that. It is beautiful. So we're gonna let this cool completely, which is very hard to do. I'm gonna put it on a wired cooling rack, and then we will cut into it. Can't wait. Here is the loaf that we made together. It looks great. It's got blisters on it. Nice golden color. So we're going to cut into it together and see what the crumb looks like. Full disclosure, I need a much better bread knife, so this might be tough. All right, that's what we got. Looks great. Smells good. I'll also show you the bottom, so the bottom isn't burnt at all. So I hope this will work for you, and take care.